Hello, today I will be talking about the limitations of GDP. This includes what is not counted, upwards and downwards bias, and international comparisons. Categories not counted in GDP. The first category is home production. This includes goods and services produced and consumed in one household. Some examples include babysitting, homemade clothing, and allowance for chores. The second example is the underground economy. Goods and services sold below the radar or outside of official records. Examples include stolen goods and buying items off another person without documenting it. The third example is non-market externalities. Factors not taken into account when calculating GDP. Examples include pollution, leisure time, and cost of living. What is an upwards and downwards bias in GDP and how does it occur? Upwards and downwards bias are mainly the result of non-market externalities that either understate or overstate the country's well-being based off GDP. In the two examples provided, I will answer which example is an upwards bias and which one is a downwards bias. So if country X has more pollution than country Y, it would be an upward bias because country X is actually worse off than it appears. And if country X has more leisure time than country Y, it would be a downward bias because country X is actually better off than it appears. International comparisons of GDP. When comparing GDP to other countries, it can often be very misleading since currencies have to be changed, upwards and downwards bias, which we talked about before, geographical differences, and population differences. As a result, these factors must be considered when comparing two countries and goes to show GDP is an absolute and always true comparison of a country's well-being. Examples of international comparison. An example is if you were to compare Mexico and South Korea's GDP. South Korea only has a 3.4% higher GDP than Mexico. However, it has a 143% increase of GDP per capita than Mexico. This is due to their population differences and is an indicator that South Korea's population is much better off than Mexico when it comes to their economy.